Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. We've got play of props here on a Thursday for you guys. We are coming off a pretty good night there, 3-1 in the props last night there on Wednesday. So we'll look to continue the heater here as we close out the week. We are also live with best bets on a different video for you guys. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along with us all season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Use that prop finder tool up there to make sure that you're getting the best odds available to you from all the books that are giving us bets this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first NBA play a prop for tonight, talking about Mr. Wardell Curry.
Yeah, Steph Curry, over 32.5 points and assists, or if you want a better odds, over 5.5 assists. I think we both trust that he will be able to dime up here on a back-to-back. And you can use this in a same-game parlay if you want to go 25-5 for Steph. You can stay under that number along with the Warriors win. Good plus money there because I trust them on a back-to-back here because they're coming off 8 days rest. We go over all that in the best bets. Don't trust the Kings on the road. It's a rivalry game. They should stay up for it. And Steph in 6 back-to-backs this season has had a huge usage spike. It's like everybody else on the Warriors can't bring it, but he, maybe the most fit guy in the NBA in terms of how much he can run around. 35% usage, 29 points per game. If you believe they're going to win, he averages 30 points per game in wins at 70% true shooting versus 23 points per game on way worse shooting in losses. CP3 still out, right? I mean, and he's had 6+ assists in 10 of his last 11 without CP3 in the lineup. He's had 13 potential assists in his last 3 games. He has the second highest adjusted assist to pass ratio among volume passers in the league in those 3. And, his numbers are going to go up across the board with Draymond in there, even if Draymond's playing some with the second unit. Steph averages 29 points, 5.2 assists in 16 with Dre this season. The Kings, while their defense is better on the road, I'm not buying that. I think it's mostly just strength of schedule and just playing a lot of gross matchups where their offense is worse and they just claw to stay in it. I mean, they still are a terrible 3-point defense right now. Worst 3-point percentage allowed in their last 8. They've allowed the 10th most assists to point guards on the season, and they allowed 32 assists in their last 3 before they came home and beat the Hawks. So I think Steph will burn them multiple ways here.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I love the assists. I all over that. I think there's just such a clear correlation between CP3 not being on the floor and Steph getting assists. I don't think it's numbers. There's numbers that say when CP not here, Steph gets 7.5 assists per game, right? And so when CP's on the floor, you can subtract about a full assist and a half for Steph on the season, first of all, this year. Second of all, the potential assists are massive. Yeah, it's a humongous difference as well. You mentioned the 13 over the last however many, the last 3 that he's got the 13 potential assists. Plus, if you want to extrapolate it back even further to the moment that CP3 hasn't been on the floor, I think that's about 5 or 6 games ago now. Even better, just as good. Even when they were getting blown out and he was on the floor for 28 minutes, he got 6 assists against the Pelicans and the Raptors. Like I said, without those even being real games. So now you get a situation too where, by the way, Mike Brown, if you watch the Kings defense, it's it's blitz Steph. It's just blitz him, blitz him, blitz him. It's if we have to throw 3 guys at him, he's not allowed to score. He doesn't trust guys like Wiggins and Clay, which might be to his demise because I like Wiggins over 12.5 points tonight. He's been hovering around 12 and 13 points in this exact situation. No Chris Paul, more minutes, loves playing the Kings, destroys them, by the way. 8 of his last 10, 7 of his last 8, however you want to look at it. He's gone over versus the Kings. So there's a little bonus bet for Andrew Wiggins because I didn't throw him on here, but I do like him to score a lot more tonight in the 30 minutes or so that he should see. Kings killer, he is, the Slayer. Daniel Gafford under 17.5 points and rebounds. That's my first bet. I wanted to do it last night, and I chickened out. Was it last night or the last game that he played when we were last talking about this?
Yeah, last night against the Wolves.
Right, against the T-Wolves, exactly. Thank you. And now we get him in another matchup where, we'll see a bit of Walker Kessler, but even if we don't, I don't like Daniel Gafford to get his rebounds and points. I definitely don't think he'll do both of them. The points he's gone over against a few different teams, but they were very bad defensive teams. And now we're talking about Utah, who limits centers to the 4th fewest rebounds per game on the season. They are also in the top 15, at least in limiting centers points, but Are you really worried about the Daniel Gafford points? It's going to either come off of assists or it's going to come off of second chance points, and you're not going to get a lot of that down low versus the Jazz, who definitely have a bit more of a collapse defense. And their guards come down and collapse a lot is a big part of it. So they are not as good against the 3-point shot. Daniel Gafford will not be attempting any 3-point shots, so I'm not worried about that for him. When you talk about down low as well, like I'm saying, even though Walker Kessler's minutes are down, the Jazz are still in the top 5 in terms of defensive field goal percentage inside of 5 feet, top 6, if you will, without Kessler getting the minutes that he's gotten at times. And his minutes vary, right? When they need a presence down low, Walker Kessler will get 30 minutes. And if there's any semblance of down low work going on for the Wizards, then yeah, we'll have to see more of him. But I don't even know that his presence is fully required to limit Daniel Gafford from getting this. The dude, for a center, he has a decent amount of rebound chances per game, roughly around like 12, 11 chances, and is still only at like 5.5 rebounds because he's just not a great rebounder. Plus, he goes up for those blocks all the time that really limit his rebounding because he's got so many block attempts that then it's just like the play is now behind him, right? So yeah, I'll go under for him before I kick myself again for not going unders.
Yeah, I mean, despite the huge total for this game, I think you can take some unders for Wizards players on a back to back. I mean, they've been limiting the starters' minutes in general, like rotating guys in. Who knows what they're doing in terms of showcasing for the trade deadline and what they want to do next. So yeah, for if Gafford starts and his numbers inflated because he's a starter, it doesn't really matter. Like he could only play like 25 minutes here and not sniff these props. So on the other side of the ball, I'm not mad about it. I'm gonna keep going back to Colin Sexton, and I granted we were kind of lucky to get 22 points from him in 24 minutes because they got blowed out in New Orleans 2 nights ago. I mean, now they should be doing the hurting here on Washington with the Wiz on a back to back. And we were talking about Sexton's minutes going up, so I'll take the whole package here over 31 and a half PRA because yeah, I mean he's probably looking at 34 plus minutes if this game stays moderately close. He played 34 and 40 in his last 2 before this blowout loss. He had become clearly a bigger part of the Jazz offense, a Jazz offense that was taken off since he became a bigger part of it. He has 5 plus assists in 6 straight games. He has 11.5 potential assists per game in his last 4. And of course, we know the scoring 27 points a game on 30% usage in those 6 games, despite playing 28 minutes. So if he gets more minutes, that's more everything, including 4 rebounds per 36 minutes. And then you get the Wizards, who are the worst home defense in NBA history, maybe. Josh threw out there. I mean, they've been playing a little bit better lately, but still fastest pace in the league. They allow the most assists per game to both point guards and shooting guards, so it doesn't matter where you slot Sexton. They allow 32 assists and 126 points on back-to-backs, and they're giving up a ton of points to shooting guards in their last 7, 26 points per game. So I have a hard time imagining Sexton cools off in this one.
Yeah, I think he just is. Yes, all of it. Colin Michael Jordan Sexton, as I've been known to be a little bit hyperbolic lately. I guess I'm calling the Wizards the worst home offense of all time. I'm standing by that one, and I'm standing by Colin Michael Jordan Sexton until he gets the respect he deserves. Because this is not a fluke. This is him getting a chance in an offense with a really good coach for the first time ever. Look at the coaches that dude's had. He's never been in a good spot ever. Like talking, yeah. Anyway, moving past that for now. I'm totally on board with that. I love the assists for him as well. Is that still at 4.5? Because they've been keeping it there, and that's what I love about. It's at 5.5 now. They finally lifted it up a little bit, but yeah, the potential assists are still there for him, and I think that they'll be here tonight. Chris Dunn keeps kind of stepping in, so maybe that isn't the play because Chris Dunn does come in and gobble up some of those assists when he's on the floor, but he's not taking away from Sexton's points. So follow Nate on this one. He's done more research into it. I'm just blindly loving Colin Sexton. I'm going to talk about an under to finish here, though, for another center. That's the theme of my player props here. Although I did take a Wiggins over, I'm officially saying you guys should definitely hit 12.5 points over for Wiggins. I'm on that one. But the Nick Claxton, I'm going points and assists. And you had to do a little bit of digging to understand why I'm randomly just throwing assists in there. But it's because he's at 1.5 assists on his prop and 11.5 points. And I get it at 14.5 points and assists combined. So I feel like I'm getting a little bonus extra there for the under when I take those combined. And I'm certainly not worried about Nick Claxton all of a sudden diming up down there. And it just is all high for a game against a really good team down low with Rudy Gobert and even, and McDaniels, and even to a degree when you're talking about Jesus, Cat actually has played pretty well on defense, to be honest with you. I know we like to trash him and Jay Randall, but like they've both been doing all right down low this year, and we should give them their flowers. And that's a big reason why they're limiting so much down low for both power forwards and centers. And we are getting a bit of an inflated line to a degree, believe it or not. Like maybe there's a belief that, first of all, that line for Minnesota, as we talk about in best bets, is probably a little small. So right there, there's like an overvalue of Brooklyn, who every now and again comes in and surprises you, like when they smacked the Lakers the other day. So like, let's not just like, no one's calling this a lock, but I do think we still like the Timberwolves to continue their run of momentum after Chris Finch yelled at them. The 7 of the last 10 that Mr. Claxton here has gone over, those are all against very bad teams. The 3 teams that he's failed to go over against in this number, Miami, the Pellies, and the Clippers. And Miami and the Clippers are both in the top 5 at limiting centers. New Orleans is in the top 10 when it comes to both points and rebounds combined. He's gone under this number in 4 of 5 when he's played Rudy. That includes 2 on the Jazz, and the only over was when Rudy was on the Jazz in a much faster paced game than I think we'll see in this game with a 217.5 total at this point. And both games with Brooklyn, just under. Both games where Rudy was Minnesota rather under. The other thing is like he needs you to pass him the ball. He needs to get it fed to him around the rim. That's why I talked about liking the Wolves in a money line parlay that I have with the Sixers today. Because I don't think that lob is going to be there. I know it's not. The defensive field goal percentage for Rudy and them is too high. You're not going to pull Rudy far enough away from the basket for him to like care about anybody else besides Nick Claxton. I don't think Rudy's stepping out to make sure that Cam Johnson doesn't get a wide open 17-footer like he's going to continue to be pulling, right? Same concept for Mikal, who's actually been pretty good going to the rim. So if anything, you definitely want to make sure that you're around to help when Mikal comes. And obviously that would be where you would get worried about Nick Claxton starting to get his points. But if he's not getting assisted field goals, then he's done. He scores 70% of his points off of that. He's only getting to the free throw line like 2 times a game. And the T-Wolves here are limiting third points in the paint and assists, everything down low, right? That lob play isn't there against Rudy Gobert, especially. So with that not at his disposal, I'm going to go under for the points and just tack on the assist because I get a nice little bonus, at least half assist there to go under.
Yeah, it's been pretty clear that he doesn't score double digits against teams that are really good against centers. Like he might grab a ton of boards here, but I don't think a double-double is going to happen for Claxton, and not going to dime up against a Wolves defense that's good everywhere. So if you can get a market on no double-double for Claxton, which I mean basically is to just say under 10 points. I mean same bet basically, but I think there's 2 ways to cash it, and I just don't see him having a very good game against Gobert.
Yeah, I can't see them giving us that no on a double-double anywhere, but if you find
Bet
it, I agree.
Bet Rivers does have it, but they sometimes have,
They usually have the no on the double-double.
They usually have markets that you can't find other places, but
Okay. With crappy
110.
limits. Yep, no worries. Anyway, that is all the time that we have for you this one. Go ahead and subscribe to that page because we also have a video with best bets up for you guys as well. Until we see you next, happy betting.